particularly in car wreck cases that people don't know that happens in a courtroom. We are not permitted to say whether or not there's car insurance. That attorney is paid for by the insurance company. We don't want any money from their pocket. Everybody is like super biased about all different things. Call the police. The reason why, obviously, is because you want the police to come out and do a crash report.
Welcome to the Brian White Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome back to the Brian White Podcast, where I am on episode 2 of, it's like number 2 of my podcast, where I'm learning how to do a podcast at the same time as making a podcast. So if it's not good, that's why. But over time, it'll get better. All 3 or 4 people that are watching this, what up, dog? The 3 or 4 people that are watching this, a typical day at the attorney Brian White law firm. First off, it starts off early. So I typically wake up early at about 5:30 a.m. And I do cardio. Actually, I have it's called a rebounder where you jump on it. And apparently that's really good for you. When you jump, it's like causes G-forces to affect your body. So like all of your organs and everything, you know, you're doing this rebounding. So I do that from, 5:30 to 5:45. And then sometimes I will read for, 30 minutes, usually some sort of philosophy, something to hopefully integrate into my day or into my week or even into my goals that I've set for that year. And then, of course, I get ready for work. I come into work. Our office opens at 9 o'clock, but I like to be here about 8:45 so that I'm here before anyone shows up. And usually I like to do my creative work early. I feel like if you do your creative work early, then you can do your more paperwork heavy kind of activities like in the afternoon. But because the way the brain works is, creativity runs on glucose and you only have a certain amount per day and it's highest as you wake up. So I strategically make my creative projects in the morning. So anyone who cares about what I do, every morning, I think that that's I don't know. Why don't you care about what you do in the morning, not what I do in the morning? Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Okay, the top things as a personal injury lawyer, particularly in car wreck cases that people don't know that happens in a courtroom. The first thing is that people don't know that we are not permitted to say whether or not there's car insurance. So I'm dealing with the case, and if we're in the courtroom and we have the opposing side and it's a person, and then they've got some attorney that's sitting next to them, and that attorney is free to make it sound like, we're going to hurt their life, we're going to affect their ability to do things. We are not permitted to say, no. That attorney is paid for by the insurance company. None of the money from this case is going to come from that person's pocket. We don't want any money from their pocket. We just want the insurance money. So, of course, insurance companies are very powerful, and they created, basically the rules. And the rules are that you're not allowed to tell people that it's an insurance company that you were up against. It's a whole bunch of BS. One of the other things is that people don't realize is that people are super biased. Like everybody is like super biased about all different things. If you think that you're not biased about things, then you're not a, introspective person, because you are. Everybody is. And a lot of people have biases that are, hard to predict. So, like a lot of things that people don't understand is that when you go into the courtroom and you're going to be in front of a jury, that you're going to be in front of a group of people that have biases, and sometimes you don't know what all of them are. And some of those things can help you or they can hurt you. So it's very risky. One thing that insurance companies hope that people never learn is that if you're in a car accident, you should hire a lawyer quickly. And the reason why is because all kinds of evidence can go away over time. And they hope that you wait, because by the time you hire someone, a lot of the evidence will be gone. And remember, the value of your case is based upon whatever the proof is that you have. And proof in the courtroom is called evidence. Okay, if you're in a car accident, you should hire Houston personal injury lawyer attorney Brian White.
What's number 2?
And number 2 is call the police. The reason why, obviously, is because you want the police to come out and do a crash report. The crash report is like usually the key piece of evidence with regard to the liability in a case. You really don't want a situation where you're arguing about what happened without there being an investigation, because then it's just your word versus the other person's word, and that can be tough. If you're in a car wreck, I think everyone understands that it's a good idea to take pictures, but it's a great idea to take video. And the reason why is because video is like taking hundreds of pictures per second. So after a car wreck, take video. Now, here are some tips. When you take video of the cars, let's say the other person's at fault, and let's say that you're feeling pain on your body, but you're going to videotape their car. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten videos from people that are claiming to be very, very hurt, and they're like, look at the video. And in the video, it's their reflection in the window of the car. So basically what they're doing is they're taking video of them standing there looking unhurt. So, but they're like, well, I really was hurt. And maybe they were, I don't know. But what I can tell you is if you take video after a crash, don't get your reflection in it, okay? Don't be dumb. It's also would be good if you want to get like bonus points, you could, in your video, explain to the other driver why they were the one at fault. I wouldn't ask them. I would just say, you ran that stop sign, you did this, you did that. And it doesn't really even matter what their answer is. It's just the fact that that's what you were saying from the beginning, okay? So that's also probably something that would be helpful. The Texas law is that you can film away as long as a person, yeah, well, it's based upon whether the person has a reasonable expectation of privacy. So it could be like, let's say that they're in their backyard, and let's say that their backyard is fenced. You can't look over the fence and film them, right? But let's say that in their backyard that's fenced, right next door they build a skyscraper. Well, now they don't have an expectation of privacy, so you would be able to film them. So that's why I'm saying I don't know. It depends on sort of what the situation is, and also what the specific ordinance is. If a police officer tells you to not film and it's your car wreck, you had better not film, because that police officer is going to be your best friend in the case. And if you're like, no, I have the right to film, and you're pissing off the person who could help you the most or hurt you the most, that would be a very bad idea. If you are in a car accident, you have a very short amount of time to file a car accident claim. Typically, you want to get your claim filed and started within 1 week. Certainly, if you're feeling any kind of pain or anything like that, then you should go to the doctor prior to that. But the reason why you want to start soon is because you want to make sure that the other car actually has car insurance. Because what happens if you're, planning on a claim, you file your claim, and then you get something back from them saying, actually, the person hasn't paid for their car insurance, in 6 months, there's no coverage. So you want to file that claim as soon as possible. And then at the very outside window is you have 2 years to pursue a claim in court. Okay, so if you can't settle a case or a claim with the insurance company, and that requires you to have to file a suit and take it out of the hands of the insurance company and put it into the hands of a courtroom, you have 2 years. But if you haven't done anything on your claim for that whole period of time, most likely you don't have a good case. I mean, because you actually have to get evidence in order to go into the courtroom. So, hopefully you will have filed a claim way before then. If you're in a car accident that's partially your fault, you should definitely hire a good lawyer. That's because that's what we do. We cross-examine the other side to understand exactly what happened, and also to prove our point. We're experts at investigating not only the cause of a crash, but also the root cause. Get rear-ended by an 18-wheeler, and like you did something to cause that. Maybe you like swerved into his lane, according to him. According to you, you're like, I changed lanes. It was a little bit fast, but according to him, it's like, oh man, they swerved right in front of me. I couldn't stop in time. So he hits the back of you. Well, if you hire a good lawyer, they will understand that they have to do an investigation of the root cause. So the root cause is like, well, okay, I understand that the truck hit the back of the car, but what caused that? Is it maybe that the truck driver was driving over his hours? Is there something else going on? Was there something preventable? So then, of course, you have to get their log books, and almost always when you get their log books, they're perfect, which is unrealistic. So then you have to start cross-referencing like fuel receipts and other things, and through that process, you find, hey, man, you were getting gas in San Antonio, according to your credit card, but your driver's log says that you were in Houston. So now you know that they're lying. And through this whole process, you can figure out that actually the company had this guy driving for like 16 hours straight. So that's a whole different kind of situation than if it's a person who just kind of like hit the back of your car and there's like a swearing match about what happened. After a car wreck, should you speak to an insurance adjuster? That is a very good question, and it depends upon which insurance company. If it's your own insurance company, then you have an obligation to talk to the adjuster about whatever claim that you're going to make by contract. That's in your policy that you have to cooperate with them. But if it's an insurance adjuster for the other car, you don't have a contract with them. You owe them nothing. So if you don't want to speak to them about part of your claim, you don't have to, because you don't have to cooperate with them. So in my opinion, I think it's a good idea to speak to them about your property damage so that they can hurry up and get that started and hopefully fixed, but not speak to them about the other part, which is your injury. What happens if you're hit by a car that doesn't have insurance, a car or a driver that doesn't have insurance? Well, you're not going to get any money out of that person in most situations. It's a very bad situation. So that's why you want to look and see if you have what's called underinsured motorist coverage on your policy. This is insurance that you've paid for to cover someone else. It's not coverage saying that you did anything wrong or anything. It's not like putting it on your insurance. It's money that you've paid into a fund to cover someone else that didn't have insurance, or they had a very small policy and you're hurt very bad. So it's a very common misconception that people have, is that if they use their underinsured motorist coverage, that's putting it on their insurance. And it's so frustrating because it's like you paid the premiums for this. Why in the heck did you pay for it if you're then going to refuse to use it? And their answer is, well, because it'll make my premium go up. No, it doesn't. It does not make your premium go up, people. Using underinsured motorist coverage will not increase your premium. Do you know what will actually? The biggest way to have an increase in your premium is to stay with the same company for many years. That's the way that you make sure that you pay the most amount possible. Because you can have a history of being in car wrecks, of being a bad driver, but if you go out there on the market and you try to get a quote from a bunch of different places, they're going to give you a good deal because they just want your money right then. So if you're really worried that after a crash and you make a claim on your underinsured motorist coverage that it could cause your insurance to go down, well, I would say make the claim and then go get different insurance. So now you're going to get the money that you've paid for, and then you're actually going to be paying less for your new policy. If you are in a car accident and the other car runs, first, before they run, after the crash happens, you've got to get your video of the plates. That's if you're going to videotape a car, the first thing that you should try to start with is the plates so that you can identify the car. Okay, so you want to start with the most basic thing is just to be able to identify it, and then maybe go on to where you see the damages, where the skid marks are, those kinds of things. So hopefully you get that. If you can't get your phone out, at least look at the plates before they drive off. There's so many situations where we have people who are in crashes and they're like, well, the person sat there for a while and we're waiting, and then they just took off. And I'm like, well, did you get their plates? No. Well, so you would be out of luck. But should you chase them? Well, it happens all the time. I mean, so you can chase them in order to get their plates, but don't try to stop them. There was just a situation yesterday in Houston where a man stole a pickup truck. And you see the pickup truck, and then you see another vehicle see that he had stolen it, because I think it was a carjacking, and he blocks him in. So then the guy gets out of the pickup truck, pulls out a gun, and just starts shooting into the car. And so that guy got killed for no reason. So I wouldn't do that. It's kind of crazy out there. I think the main thing is just if you're going to pursue them, the only thing that you need to do is get the plates. Once you get the plates, you're out. Should you accept the first offer from an insurance company after your car wreck? The answer is obviously no. They do not give you their best offer on their first offer. In fact, they will go back and forth with you many times. And in fact, what you should do is you should actually get them to the point to where they say, this is it. We are not going to offer you any more money. And at that point, at least you know sort of what you're dealing with. And then what I think you should do is you should say, if it's possible, you should say to them, well, oh, that's too bad, because I would accept. And then you can ask for something just a little bit more than what their final offer is, so that you can hopefully get them to come up at least another couple $1,000s. You always ask, even if they say, I'm out of money. Sometimes we'll joke around and be like, this is their first time out of money, or this is actually their second time out of money. We think they're going to be out of money, 3 times. So don't always believe that when they say that they're out of money and it's final, that it actually is final, because what you want is to be final. So keep going until it's final. How much does a personal injury lawyer cost? We get paid on a percentage from the back end, which means that you don't have to pay anything out of your pocket to hire us. You can get a really good lawyer without having to pay anything up front. And then also, the attorney will also front case expenses to make the case work. cases could go on, for 6 months, 1 year, or even more. And the attorney will be working on that for that entire time, essentially without pay, hoping that he's going to be able to recover a bunch of money for you at some point. So at that point, it's a percentage, and that percentage is typically 1/3 or 40%. Okay, so you've been in a serious car accident and maybe an 18-wheeler case, and you're starting to figure out that the lawyer that you hired isn't good. They don't communicate with you, and you're thinking about firing them and hiring someone else. The answer is, can you do that? And the answer is yes, you can do that. Typically, it's better if you fire an attorney for cause. In other words, they did something wrong, but doing something wrong could also include their failure to keep you properly updated on the case. But it could be other things. But it's possible to fire people for no cause. All of those issues kind of get worked out whenever the case settles, where your new lawyer will have to reach an agreement with the old lawyer about, basically splitting the fees. But the important thing is to understand that it doesn't cause the total fees to go up. What should you do after an 18-wheeler accident in Houston? Well, if it's more than just a minor hit where you're not hurt, and it's a situation where you're going to have to pursue a claim, then you need to hire an attorney quickly. And the reason why is because evidence will go away over time. And so, you want to get a person even out to the scene to go get pictures of the skid marks maybe, or maybe you want to get some information from the black box of the 18-wheeler. There's a lot of things that must happen very quickly, or the information could go away, and your case is only going to be worth whatever the proof is that you have to support it. So if you don't hire someone quickly, then a lot of that proof will be gone. How much do Houston truck accidents settle for? Guys, here's the truth. They settle for the most amount of money that we can get on the case. And that typically is based upon whatever the proof is that we have. So you have, on one side of a scale, all of the proof, which in the courtroom is called evidence on this side. And this side is sort of like, how much is that worth? So, over here you might have facts about who's at fault. You might also have, how much were the medical bills, how hurt is the person. And over here you have, how much money would it take to compensate. That's how much they're worth. I do feel like there is a little bit of a general misconception that's out there. It used to be worse. I've kind of noticed that the people that absolutely hate attorneys, and especially ones that do car wreck cases, there's some people out there that think that all we do is out there lying and hustling, and we're some kind of sleaze bag operation or something like that. And guys, there's no way that would work, because if you go into the courtroom and you're in front of a group of strangers who typically are, very suspicious of your claim, and also you have the burden of proof, it doesn't work to bring, fake cases, or, it also never works to lie about facts. If you're wanting to waste a whole bunch of time on a case, lie about facts, because what's going to happen is the other side's going to catch you, and it's going to ruin your case. So, we just try very hard to tell the story of what happened in a way that people can hopefully understand. The worst thing you can do is lie about things or be sleazy or things like that, because it undermines your case. Episode number 2. So if you're hearing this and you're kind of wondering about like, what in the world kind of podcast was this that I just listened to? What we're doing right now is we're doing clips. So this is not really sort of like intended for people to necessarily hear the whole thing from, start to finish. But instead, what we're doing is we're hopefully finding some clips that are in here that will be helpful. So, if you made it through the whole thing, congratulations, and my apologies at the same time. I mean, some people may just want to see me for 30 minutes straight. Maybe. I mean, I don't know if anyone in our universe would care that much to see me for 30 minutes talking about this, but possibly. Maybe if it's like a stalker or something like that. You know what? But like stalkers are never like super hot. That's the problem. Like, why can't there be like why can't I get like a supermodel stalker, or like a multi-millionaire model also stalker? No, actually that'd be worse. Actually, if you think about it, that'd be really scary. Because they'd be able to finance their like stalking of you. You'd be somewhere, and then like they'd fly their private jet in and like show up and like, hi, and you're like, oh my God, no, no, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, no, that's. You, I don't care. One thing that I don't care about, which I had someone ask me about this. If the person that I'm dating has money or a successful job, I don't care about that at all. I mean, what I care about is a person. Are they honest? Are they nice? Are they stable? Are they a good companion? Nowhere in that do I care how much a woman makes or if they're a boss woman or any of that kind of stuff. I don't care about that. I just thought I'd throw that in for that person who wanted to like hear this 30-minute long thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't care about that either. I mean, I'm not clingy because I get the other. I get like the opposite. Like, like it shocks me because I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty like affectionate, and they're like, you're not affectionate enough, and you're like, how much more affectionate do you want me to be? Like, what do you want me to do? Like hump your leg as you're walking down the hallway or something like that? It's kind of, yeah. No, I don't. I mean, but anyways, to the one person who watched this all the way through, and you were trying to get some little insight over something, who cares, about me? But anyways, I appreciate that. And I also wanted to say, I love you. So remember, if you're in a car wreck, do it right. You can get Brian White. Please like and subscribe and share.
Thanks for tuning into the Brian White Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you don't miss an episode.